The elite gay. Is there gay extremists? That's what I want to know. Are there gay extremists who aren't pedophiles? It's a question. I think we're very loose in society nowadays. And I don't just mean in a gay kind of way.
Okay, yeah, okay. Oh my God, I'm so gay. I'm so gay. Hip, hip, hooray. Call people dear, cause I'm a queer. Drop down to my knees, I'm a hose of tease. Anal penetration, a deep sensation.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to leave this anti Semitic drama. Ooh, excuse me, I'm Dr. Normo. How are you, sir?
Okay.
You know, El Norm, I would really appreciate it if you took a little time out on Clubhouse from your busy diet of counterbalancing, counterposing, and providing a rational conversation and just read some poetry. Because look at it this way, Dr. Normo. You spend so much time on this app, and if you were to just look at your transmission and not, what you're listening to, but if you were to just analyze the outgoing words that you're making and you were to modify it or add to it some poetry, just think about injecting more positivity into this app by just reading great poetry. If anything, if you were to read Rumi, you would probably have a huge audience of haters listening to your poetry, and you would essentially be diffusing them. Because if you want to make this into like a 5D chess game or some type of neurolinguistic programming, activity, I mean, what you say is so important because you're talking to essentially, the enemy. So if you want to win, I think you're winning, but if you just modify it or add to it with some poetry, think about the positive benefits that that's going to create for your listeners, but also for yourself. So, because I think you can cause damage to yourself or harm to yourself if all you do is engage in the opposite of these enemies that you're debating. It's like it's not, because you're not controlling it. You're still subject to your environment. So that's why I say modify the environment by modifying what you're saying on this app.
Ever read Wallace Stevens?
No.
Read what is often hailed as his greatest poem, The Emperor of Ice Cream.
See, I think you need. See, that's not going to work for this audience. Maybe it will, but you could call it whatever. See, that's the thing is you can retitle things that you're reading, and nobody will even know where it came from if you have a book, because that's what people on this app don't have. They have a cell phone and they have all the apps, but they don't have external books. And so, if you can bring anything to this app, you can bring a book, stored in your memory, which other people on this app do not have, and thus they're poor.
You know that I have so many books that I pay rent for them.
That's scary. That's becomes insanity where you're like, I mean, it's basically a collection. It's a collectible, but yeah, they take up a lot of space and they're very heavy.
I don't know what to say. I just can't let go of them. I love them too much.
Yeah. Before I went into the army, I had a pretty big book collection, and I gave it to my local library. And there were books in there that I just loved, and I'm like, after I got back out of the army, I went back to that library, and I was like, ugh, I'll never find what I donated. It's a huge library. But I had some really amazing books. But that's the thing is all books are amazing, and if you have 100 books, 10 of them are going to be super amazing. And you know, it's nice to carry.
Are you ready for this poem?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Emperor of Ice Cream by Wallace Stevens. Call the roller of big cigars, the muscular one, and bid him whip in kitchen cups, cookies, and curds. Let the wenches dawdle in such dress as they are used to wear, and let the boys bring flowers in last month's newspapers. Let B be the final of theme. Let B be finale of theme. The only emperor is the emperor of ice cream. Take from the dresser of deal, lacking the 3 glass knobs, that sheer on which she embroidered fantails once, and spread it so as to cover her face. If her horny feet protrude, they come to show how cold she is and dumb. Let the lamp affix its beam. The only emperor is the emperor of ice cream. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I went to this Jewish event one time, and there was this girl and her mother, and they were making CBD infused ice cream, like sorbets and things. And it was a Jewish owned business. I was like, this is just so awesome, but how you know, get into manufacturing and everything. I was like, good luck and God bless. But, you know, you can buy an ice cream maker for your kitchen now for $39.99. I bought one, but I haven't figured out how to actually use it. I haven't spent the time to sit there and even try to make ice cream yet, but I did buy an ice cream maker because it can't be that complicated.
Well, it's great that you bought it, and I support your aspirations. Are you on music mode? So I will tell you that there's a way to make ice cream I once found in the New York Times in plastic bags. Like you get a few Ziploc bags, and the main thing that the ice cream makers do is, one, they keep it cold, and two, they swirl it around. And you can swirl it in your fingers, and you can make delicious ice cream by hand with a couple of Ziploc bags. You need rock salt and different kinds of sugar, and maybe a little bit of vanilla flavoring, which you probably have in your cabinet, and some heavy cream. And it comes out really delicious, and you can eat it while watching television. That's what I did with my kid. We threw the bag back and forth a bunch of times, like a lot of times. Then it came out ice cream, and we ate it.
Wow, that's you know.
It's fun. I remember what we watched too. We watched Stranger Things when it was new.
I was gonna ask you, I was just in this other room making fun of Pepe and roasting him. I have two theories of Clubhouse. One is that technically this is a roast app. You either roast yourself or you roast others, or as a group you roast individuals. And then two, it's low IQ dumb people talking about nothing, wasting time. But my question to you is, I think there's like a 3-letter word conspiracy, meaning that law, God, those are synonymous words. And, in a judicial proceeding or the outcome of a judicial event, you see essentially an all or nothing statement. So for the J word haters who use J word every second sentence because they have J word Tourette's, Jewish Tourette's. That's what I'm called. That's what I last night.
Jewish derangement syndrome.
It's Jewish derangement syndrome, and it's Jewish Tourette's. It's every second sentence is the Jews, and so I just like yesterday I started laughing. I was like, maybe they have Jewish J word Tourette's, and I'm like, these people are crazy, and like it's been going on for years. I've been listening to these people on this app just talk about J word all the time, and it to me it's like a sickness, and it's really psychiatric or psychological, meaning that they're not fully integrated or they haven't fully self-actualized because it's an expansive language. And it literally, if every second sentence is J word and that's what you're thinking, like you've got probably depression or anxiety. I mean, it's got to be based biologically as well, not just, intellectually, because I mean, it's like talking about the word gay all the time or the sun all the time. I mean, just pick a 3-letter word and you're like, why do you keep talking about that 3-letter word all the time? So, I mean, maybe what I'm saying I think is funny, but also points out just how deranged people are and that they think that this is like a productive usage of their time or a productive usage of the language itself. There's no real reflection in what they're doing. So I do feel like being their foil or antithesis could be helpful for them, but I hate screaming and getting angry because it disrupts my equilibrium. So, but nonetheless, I do enjoy, trying to scream at people. Intellectually, of course. Which is really just a roast.
My kid just texted me how he fixed up his college room, and I'm just really happy and proud of him. I'm listening to you as well.
Yeah, college is a nice flow state. A lot of people, don't go to college prepared for the environment. And I think that's true for like anything in life. Anything that's new, like you can't prepare necessarily for the environment without good wisdom or knowledge. I mean, because it's a whole new experience and there's a lot of pitfalls in those experiences for a lot of people. But if it's a highly controlled environment, like I went to a military college in Charleston, and that is a highly controlled environment. So you're very safe, per se. But, um, anyways, I mean, yeah, college is like it can be a beautiful flow state. I was in great flow when I was in college.
Yeah, it's great. That's with no girls? You had like girls on weekends or something?
We had a couple girls at the school, but when they cut their hair so short, you barely even notice them. Um, and then on the weekends, you go out to downtown Charleston and you try to meet girls that go to college in Charleston, but there's sororities, fraternities. But that was even pre-internet dating, or that was like right when internet dating, I think, was becoming a thing. But you're so busy, you're basically asexual. It's like being in a monastery, and you know, it's like a flow state because you're just engaged in studying and military drill and exercise and classroom and just getting it. It's military college is really, I think, needed maybe more than ever for the young people because you may be anti TikTok and anti AI, but I mean, if you really want to be materially based, you basically run a gymnasium, a Greek educational school of physical fitness and education. And it's not anti technology, it's essentially it's a discipline it's like being in a monastery, you know? And it's a lot of contemplation. And just learning how to be with people, by experience. You can study social behavior, but really, it's a lot of it is it's the humility of being roasted. Are you humble enough to accept the punishment without bitching and moaning and putting on a show? Can you just take the punishment and move on? um,
So,
Kind of
could
mentality.
you provide the service? Why don't you hang out in Amir's room more and learn more things?
You don't learn anything. There's no actual, even when like I just roasted Pepe, and he kept citing these papers and authors and their biographical information. I was like, Pepe, just give us one bullet point. Like, tell us one thing that you learned from these papers. He can't do it. So it's all just boilerplate. Everything is a superficial hypnosis. There's no actual real facts. It's all just like an opinion hypnosis. So you don't learn anything. But that's why I say if you inject a poem, you're manipulating the communication with an outside communication. And that can be very useful for people because you will have people come here for weeks on end and never hear one positive, joyful thing. They're just engaged in JDS. It's a sickness, and that's why I say they're probably not happy people. Do you think Amir or Edward or any of these fat pieces of shit coming on here and creating propaganda all day long, or going to the gym and doing yoga, getting on an elliptical or a treadmill, or lifting any weights, or having an hour of power away from their cell phone, doing stretching in a gymnasium? No, these are like armchair, wheelchair, social media, propagandist drama warriors. I mean, that there's a lot of that, but there's just no joy. I mean, even if you're a physically well-abled person and you're engaged in J-word hate propaganda all day long, like Prince, that lovely young future terrorist. I've listened to yesterday, Norm. This is when the app gets fun for me is when I hear him and Jazzy screaming and arguing, and then you see like two obnoxious people fighting each other, fighting for a hill on this app, and then and just having such different personalities, but yet thinking they should be aligned, but they can't seem to get along. That to me is so delightful when you see basically two.
What is Jazzy's problem? She hates Jews.
All these people have JDS. It's basically the same thing as saying at the end of the day, they have no real knowledge. So
You know what my kid says, which really bugs him? He's as liberal as kids are, and I respect him for it. I was liberal as a kid. I think I'm still liberal in many ways, but he's got that special kind of um, trendy sort of hip liberalism. But he noticed something. I've always spoken to him really honestly and always supported his ideas and never disagreed with him in a sort of a punitive way. I want him to disagree with me. I want him to have his own ideas. I want him to think independently. And he said that everybody is trying to be a victim. Here's this really expensive college full of really rich kids, all competing to be victims. And it turns his stomach. And I see that that's what's going on here. That Jazzy wants to be a victim because of her skin color and phenotype and ethnic legacy. And Prince, I guess, wants to be a victim because his people lost a war. I can't remember where Prince is supposed to be from. Is he the Nigerian?
no, he's the Palestinian terrorist who posts himself with AR-15s at the rifle range.
Yeah, well, good.
No, I agree with you what you just said, 100%.
Yeah, it's the victim thing.
Which
And why are people racing to the bottom to be victims? Like,
yeah,
why? I don't get it myself.
I think. Well, you would like them to achieve a state of enlightenment, which is really transcendence. That's why I say that there's a three-letter word
That's
conspiracy.
asking a lot. I'd like them to put one foot in front of the other and walk down the street and say one true thing. Not a single true thing comes out of their mouths. They can't say one sentence without being full of shit.
Well,
And I think that's a loss to society. And I think it guarantees that they will not succeed or not endure, because you can't build a world, or you can't build a Palestinian state. You can't build an ethnic community on lies. It's like building them on cotton candy.
well,
It dissolves in the rain.
I think by filming myself having these conversations, I hope and I pray that some of the people who are the worst transgressors of the law, which is really a transgression of self, that if they watch themselves be playing the fool and the idiot, they will understand that not only are they hypocrites, but they're essentially engaged in dishonest communication. And then if they can, maybe they can gradually improve. I don't believe that many will improve, but nonetheless, that's why I go back to saying this technically is a roast. This whole app is like a roast app. It's a roast of self. Every question is a trick question, meaning that anytime you can disequilibrate somebody and they are technically like in violation of the law or self. And thus, if you're talking about the Jew word all the time, what you fail to understand is technically the law or God, which is really meaning that they don't have a full understanding of self. And thus, that's the J word is a way for them to explore self, but they're unaware of that. Does that make any sense? Like this app, it's about balance and stillness and silence. And anytime you come out of the stillness and the silence, you're technically in default mode. And so, it's interesting because there is a milieu. There is like a hive effect, I believe, hopefully, that gets created in this app.
There's a story by Bernard Malamud called The Jew Bird. All these books are lost. Lost to modernity. Edmund, whatever the fuck I'm
Yeah, but
called.
modernity is basically it's meaningless, because if you have knowledge and wisdom, I mean, just look at the word wisdom. It's domination of the wise. If you really do have wisdom, you are in an impenetrable fortress, because everybody you work with or come into contact with, um, if they're not aware of this baseline condition, or this baseline conditioning of stillness and silence, and things outside of that are essentially friction. um, if you're like a real meditator, you realize that the universe is constantly trolling you. Your environment is constantly, never ending, trying to disrupt your equilibrium. And I think the Jewish parallel would be Shekhinah, um, the Shekhinah, or what essentially Jacob was wrestling with, which is really self. And that's why people talk about Jew all the time, because the synonym for God is law or Jew. I mean, it's just a three-letter word. It's like dog or I or cat or you, Y-O-U. So what people are technically trying to do on this app, but they fail to do because they don't read books, is they are trying to answer the question about who are you? Who is another one? So I don't know. That's my reading into the wisdom, and I guess human behavioral science or psychological, predisposition or conditioning of people on this app, to try to, in many ways, like get off of the app and make it a useful tool, because all these conversations truly are just low IQ, low vibration hypnosis from these people. So why subject yourself? I do, yeah.
Well, that makes me happy.
Yeah. You know who I did Teflon with was Mark Rice's son, Max. And I feel like
Yeah,
if you
I'm
put
in touch with him.
if you put Teflon on with somebody, I feel like there's a real bonding experience. One that you don't. It's in your memory. So I put on Teflon with Chabad, and just very divine experiences. Because it's
That's
done.
great.
Yeah, you do it in silence. It's like, to me, it's like Chinese Zen tea therapy or something. It is meditation. It's a meditational tool. It is. It's a way to control your mind, or essentially stop the wandering thoughts.
That's what made me think of it. What you were saying made me think of it.
Yeah.
Will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Would you consider? The favor is just considering reading this poem. It's only a couple paragraphs, and then reading. It's one of the most famous poems of the 20th century. It's an important modernist poem, "The Emperor of Ice Cream." It's an important poem, and there's a exegesis also available if you just click on it. It's like the Poetry Foundation. Let me see. I think I can pin the exegesis in the chat. No, that's your YouTube thing. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take your advice. I'm gonna put on tefillin and get ready for Shabbos.
Okay, sounds good. Emperor of Ice Cream. I'll look it up right now. Talk to you soon.
The Emperor of Ice Cream by Wallace Stevens. It's worth it.
Okay.
I mean, if you dig modernist poetry.
I mean, I don't know if I do, but if you say it's...
Well, this could open the window to it.
Emperor of Ice Cream by
Maybe
who?
you read more Wallace Stevens.
Okay. You just read it, right?
Yeah. I just read it, yeah. Read some of his other stuff. Because it's elliptical. In other words, it's like Torah. The meaning is not available on the surface. You have to dig in.
I get it. I'm reading it right now. It's good.
Why are you laughing?
Because it says the only emperor is the emperor of ice cream, and if you know what ice cream is, being such a delicious and creamy, velvety, smooth thing, ice cream is...
This poem is very you. This poem is very you to me. It's like, look at how we glorify the superficial, and look what's under the surface, and look at the angst, and look at, as Harold Bloom, the great literary critic, would say, look at the melancholy and the tropes. All right, I'm going to go. You can pick that up next time. The melancholy and the tropes. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, take care, bye.
Thank you for the mod badge.
Okay, take care, bye. Okay, I'm going to end this anti-semantic drama. Rena, Jason, Well, Remy, California, AL. God bless you all. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.